Joining. Everybody's piling in. Welcome, welcome. And oh, goodness. Thank you guys for being so patient. We had a tech issue on my side. Even AJ's been waiting and she's like, I have people. I need to help them get better acquisitions. And I'm like trying to get the host going. So anyway, guys.
Hello.
I just appreciate you all so much.
I can see some familiar names here. Patrick Dwyer, hi. Steve Lee, Stephen Howe. Good to see everyone.
Then I applied it right away. After that, I started buying multifamily properties. You see this multifamily property? That's my beautiful right there in the center.
Let's just mute. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I think he was chatting away. Guys, welcome. Thank you for holding on and being here because today is going to be so much fun. It's been long awaited and it's going to be wonderful. If you don't know me, my name is Corianne Wright. I am the partner manager here at the Land Pilot. If you've got any questions about dispositioning your property, feel free to reach out. But today is all about acquisitions and we have the queen of it here. AJ, thank you for being here. I'm so excited.
Thank you, Corianne. And guys, thanks so much for your patience while we waited for the tech issue to be done. So it's great to be here. And obviously we had to reschedule from last time. So happy to be here and jump on in. Are you putting out an announcement now, Corianne, or do you want me to get started?
Go ahead and get started. I'm reminding everybody that we're going to be here. And yeah, take it away. Let me know if you need anything.
Fantastic. All right, excellent. Well, guys, welcome everyone. As I said, I can recognize some of the names on here. Some of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting before, so I look forward to getting to know you as we go through this. So let me just share my screen here with you guys. Before I share, I'm just going to close down a couple of things in the background. Don't need to have Facebook open anymore. So I was trying to reach out to everyone. All righty, guys. Can you see that? Excellent. Fantastic. So rather than calling this a boring old title, folks, of how to do acquisitions properly, like, let's face it, most of us are in this business because we want 3 freedoms. And I'll go through what those 3 freedoms are in a moment. But a lot of people that Corianne and I talk to, they're not getting those freedoms yet. And there's a lot of problems as to why they're not necessarily getting them yet and how we can work through that. So what I want to talk about today is how we, from an acquisitions perspective, how we can just take this time together and really look at the results you're getting, but also the approach that you're using to get those results as well. So for those that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, and I've got some customers on this call as well, my name is Alicia, also known as AJ. Most people just call me AJ. I am a passionate speaker on this topic, but also just in general, a passionate speaker about helping people with their businesses and really seeing that we can pare back what it is that they're doing in their businesses and take them to that next level as well. So I've been featured in lots of different articles and podcasts out there. I love to talk. So by all means, as I'm going through this, guys, if there's any questions, pop them in the chat box. We'll be more than happy to come back to them. What I wanted to say, though, up front is stick with me. For the next half an hour or so, I'm going to be going through a whole bunch of stuff. And I know that we are all busy people. A lot of you, we just had, I think Steve is already on another call in the background talking about a multifamily deal. So I get that we're busy people, right? What I just want you to do, if you can, is come on camera so I can see your beautiful faces. Put your phones away, put your emails away. I've switched mine off as well. And just be here for the next 30, 45 minutes to just really immerse yourself in the reflection time of where you're at with your business and what you want your business to look like. The thing is, what I am going to say with today's focus is all on implementation. I'm not about to sell you guys on another course, another coaching program, this, that, and the other, because there is a ton of education out there, right? You can go and get educated every single week with a new program if you wanted. I do believe, though, in this business that there comes a point that we need to go time out on education and more about implementation, because where we learn best as adults is when our brains are actually doing, when we're running the comps, when we're making our offers, when we're doing our follow-ups. That's where we're actually learning the most. And as a business with supercharged shoppers, that's what we want to get you guys focused on as well. So let's talk about these 3 freedoms that most of us, and tell me in the chat box if this is Correct. So just put a yes in the chat box if this is correct for you, right? Most of us get into real estate investing because we want time freedom so that we can work our own hours and be our own boss. We want financial freedom, so we want properties. Oh, Anthony's got some feedback there. Properties that give us cash flow and give us that assurance that we might leave a W-2 job. And we want location freedom. I was just talking to a customer yesterday. He's doing this from an RV, and he and his wife are currently traveling around America. They've got Starlink, and they're doing this from everywhere. So did most of us get into this for those three freedom, guys? Just give me a guess or give me a thumbs up if that's you. Charlie's 100%. Okay, I've only got Charlie in the chat box. Thank you, Charlie. What about everyone else? Did most of you just put a yes? Yep. Jean, yes. Corianne, yes. Yep, fantastic. So most of us get into this business because we want those freedoms. But here's the reality. I see a lot of people not getting those freedoms because they're stuck in the danger zone. So the danger zone is where down here in these first 6 months, and sometimes we go back to the danger zone in our businesses, where we're trying to do everything ourselves and we're getting overwhelmed, and we want to be moving on to scaling our businesses either with the strategies that we're doing or the different types of deals that we're going after, the volume of those, etc. But we're finding that we're seeing a lot of people give up in this danger zone back here because they've got lack of consistency. They're trying to do everything themselves and they don't have momentum in their businesses. And what we want to do is prevent you from being in that danger zone. So why do people get stuck in that danger zone? And let me tell you this, guys, I've been there as well, which is why we do what we do now. When we're in that danger zone, we often feel like we're on a roller coaster. We're having good months where leads are coming in and we're closing on deals and we're feeling that energy and it's fantastic. But then we have bad months where it just feels like the world is, it's too hard. There's not enough conversations going on. There's no offers that are closing. Buyers have gone quiet. And we get it. This business can feel like this a little bit, right? When we're in that stage, we often notice that it's because we've got an issue with lead flow and therefore deal flow. That often comes back to marketing. We also notice that this is when people are trying to do everything themselves. So they take their focus off the stuff that moves the needle, that's revenue generating. That can also lead, when we're on the roller coaster, lead to those feelings of self-doubt. And therefore, those three freedoms that I just mentioned, they just keep getting further away from our growth. We just cannot control it all. If we can just mute Ahmed Corian, that would be great. Thanks. So yeah, we get what the roller coaster is like. So a little quick survey for you all, and I just want to see how many of these you answer yes to, and I might ask a couple of you for some questions on this, right? Quick survey. See how many you answer yes to. Number one is, do you feel like you're working in your business versus on your business? You're down in the weeds, you're doing stuff that could be like a $5 an hour resource, and you're not working on your business, which is growing it. Do you feel like doing vacant land is kind of like a second job, and now sometimes you feel a bit overwhelmed with everything that you've got to do? Have you got some inconsistency with that deal flow? Do you feel like, let's face it, as a real estate investor, we wear a lot of hats. Corianne's got one on today, but often we wear 10 or so different hats in our businesses. And that means sometimes we don't have the skills to do absolutely everything, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes on in these businesses. Have you got VAs, but now you got maybe a people problem where maybe they're not creating the right value for you, or maybe they're creating more work for you. And is this whole thing just a little bit harder than what you thought? So let me just ask a couple of you with this. Joyce is saying yes to all of them. And that's a big yes there, Joyce. Thank you. Anthony, yes, both in and on the business. Stephen saying, yep, absolutely, right? We get it. But there are ways to make this a little bit more easier for you guys. So I'm going to take you through what that is, because when you're in that stage that you're answering yes to a lot of these questions and you are feeling a bit overwhelmed, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, guys. I get it. You're on a daily basis. It's like, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. So what I want to do today is really get you into the stage of thinking of your business through the phase of learn, implement, adjust. Because as you're growing your businesses and as you are learning another skill, you're going to find out what works for you, what doesn't. And what I want to say in these businesses is I don't want you to think of them as static. They're always evolving as you learn new things, as you've got new people that you work with, as you're going into different strategies, right? And I love this quote from Vidal Sassoon. And for those that don't know him, he was the pioneer of hair products, but nothing to do with real estate. But I do love this quote. The only place where success becomes before work is in the dictionary. These businesses do take work, but I want you to think about what you're working on and is that a moving the needle activity for you? So let's jump into the 5 mistakes that we see real estate investors make, but let's also start to lean into some solutions for these mistakes to help you guys reach your goals a little bit better as well. So the first one we think is around neglecting vision and strategy. So what do I mean by this? I have a lot of people that come to me, and Corianne, you've probably seen this in your real estate journey as well, right? People come to me and they say, I've just heard that someone has done amazing deals in Tennessee and Alabama. And so I just want to blast the entire both of those 2 states and see what I get. It's not a strategy. It's not a vision. It's looking at what someone else is doing without strategy and vision. So what we want to start within our businesses, guys, is really understanding where do you want to go and how do you want to get there? Because everybody's journey is different. What we don't want you to do is get 6 months in and be like these guys on the bridge where they're looking across to the other side and going, this doesn't match up. So how do we do that? It all starts with strategy. I'm just going to move my controls out the way here. I can share with you guys what we call a business growth plan. It's a simple tool that I'll give to Corianne after this to really get all your ideas out of your head. Now, this doesn't matter if you are 5 years into your business or you're just starting out. You've got to every year think about your strategy. What am I doing? What's my spend on my marketing? What's the ROI that I'm looking at per deal? What's my exit strategies that I want to do per deal? What markets have I researched? All of that stuff, we've got to keep that in mind. Because once we've got that, you can then reverse engineer your outcomes, your KPIs, and also in your strategy, start to think about what are you really good at? What's the activities that you can do that move the needle? And how much time have you got to put towards those things as well? For a lot of you on here, you might be doing a W-2 job at the same time that you're trying to get your business up and running, right? So it's really important to think about the skills that you bring, the skills that you don't bring, and where you can outsource that. I want you doing the activities that are going to move the needle the most for you. Also think about what's your budget to reach your certain goal. Now, here's the reality check, right? And I want to be really honest here, guys. I have people that come to us and they say, yep, I want to get this to $1 million a year business and I've got $500 a month to spend on marketing. Let me tell you, if that business existed out there where you spent $500 a month and got $1 million a year, every single person would be doing it, right? It doesn't work that way. The math needs to work. Dollar in for X amount of dollars back. And every strategy is going to be different around what that looks like, okay? The other thing you need to consider is what's your ramp up time. So as we all know in vacant land, you're looking at about a 3 to a 6 month turnaround time once you get a property under contract and get that property sold. So you need to think about your ramp up time and what great looks like for you at 3 months, 6 months, 12 months and beyond. Once you've got that all in place, then we start marketing. Because I see a lot of people that they want to start marketing now, but they haven't really thought about the management of their business and the structure around things as well. Okay, so stage 1 is around strategy. Mistake number 2, inadequate data and market analysis. So what do we typically see here, guys? We see that people want to jump on what I call the gravy train.
Stay away from you because he's causing problems. So.
Hey, Jason, we'll just put you on mute there, my friend. Hi, Jason. So inadequate data and market analysis. What we see here is what I call people getting on the gravy train, and that's like what I mentioned earlier. So they've just heard that someone else did an amazing deal in this area and they want to do that too. But I still say you've got to do your own independent analysis because what one person is doing in a market may be very, very different to what you want to do in that market as well. So make sure that you're working with a supplier that has access to every single property. And we've also got access to business records as well. MLS, being able to pull reports on what's on the market, how many expired listings are in that area, what are the sales happening in the area. All of that's really important to get a data story because data tells us a story. But then I want you to start to lean into some of the stuff around AI. Start to look at things like migration rates, builders in the area, what development is going on. When I say development, that doesn't always necessarily mean what are builders building and what are developers doing, but development in terms of infrastructure for that county. If you're working in a state and a county where they're investing a lot in schools, new sporting facilities, different things, that's a growth indicator, okay? Cities, oh, we just froze then. Cities and counties don't spend money if we haven't got enough growth in that area too. I want you to then focus on those top couple of hundred counties that AI can give you. Go where the people are buying, okay? Focus on things like local builders, developers, realtors, and really find out what their buy box is. And do a bit of research on that. It's really important just to find out like what is that supply and demand element. Then go through and start to look at sell-through rates in days on market. Now, I'm not expecting you to do that across hundreds of things, but just grab like the top 5 that are speaking to you. Go and have a look at sell-through rates in days on market. You want to go into an active market that you know that transactions are actually happening. If the sell-through rates are like over a year and things are just sitting there and there's not much going on, and you go to Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, Land.com, and stuff's not moving, it's a bit of an indicator to kind of stay clear from that one as well. Look at things like recent sales, cash buyer records. So if you work with us, we can give all of that to you in reports. And then make sure with data, when you're pulling data, let me tell you, not all data is the same. And I'll tell you why in a moment. But when you're pulling data, I want you to make sure that you're scrubbing it, verifying it, parsing it, really treating that data with what it needs to be treated with, because bad data in your system equals bad results. What do I mean by that? I've had people come to us that have said, AJ, I pulled data from this supplier, I marketed to it, I got 100 calls back that told me that their properties have already been sold, and I got, a couple of 100 pieces of mail returned because the addresses weren't great. So data needs to be done in a certain way, and data equals results. Doing things like a national change of address verification, enriching your data with the right information, making sure that when it's ready for your CRM, that it's all really crucially up to date and timestamped too. Now, I'm just going to come off share and come back to you guys and just talk to you about data really quickly. So data is not all the same. For those that don't know how data really works in the States from a real estate perspective, the source of truth is always going to be the county, always, because they are the record keepers, okay? They're the ones that record the closings, the transactions, the taxes, all of those things. Now, each county will release their data for public consumption at different times throughout the year. Now, not all counties release it at the same time, and some counties might release it just once a year. Other counties are really great, they release it monthly. But then that information goes into like a data wholesaler, okay? That data wholesaler is like a business-to-business data wholesaler. They're going to pull in county data, FEMA data, demographic data, MLS data. They're pulling all this data together into like a data warehouse. Then they're on-selling portions of that data to the likes of, say, a data tree. Here's where it gets interesting. You've got these different data retailers out there. Now, depending upon what they purchase, part of that pricing mechanism will be how often it gets updated from the data wholesaler to them. So I know customers that have bought data, and that data, I'm not going to name who the supplier is, but that data was already over a year old, and then they marketed to that data. Have a guess what that did to their results, right? It's not all the same. So one of the things that we're really big on is making sure that the data is current. The first thing we do, guys, is a currency check. How old is the data? Okay, when's the last time it was updated in the data warehouse and with the county? Okay, so not all data is the same. So really think about your data source, how you treat that data, and then what you're doing to that data to make sure that it's as up to date as possible. Okay, that's a big component. Now, again, if you don't have skills in that area, that's cool. We can help you with that too. All right. Third mistake, inconsistency. This is part of the roller coaster. Okay. Inconsistency will show up in your pipeline every day of the week. So let's talk about how we do direct marketing and how we get consistent, but how we do it right. So the first thing is with your marketing, you want to make sure that you are compliant. Sorry, my controls are always in the way here, guys. Get those over there. Go. Blocking everything. So compliant. You have to be compliant these days with data. If you've ever dug into the TCPA and FTC regulation, the thing is, if you are doing any SMSing or cold calling, it is not the company that's doing the SMSing or cold calling that gets in trouble. It's the person that has procured the service to do the SMSing and cold calling. Now, personally for us, we don't do SMS because if you look at the regulations under the FTC and TCPA, it's still not like people have to opt in order to be messaged to, okay? A lot of these platforms are finding ways to get around that, but personally for us, we've stayed away from that. We do a lot of cold calling and appointment setting though, and we're always putting that data through a do not call and litigators list. So we're not calling them because let's respect the fact that they're on that list in the first place. But what we can do is send direct mail to them because they're still open for an offer. They just don't want to be hassled on the phone. So when we're doing our marketing, guys, we're going to start with cold calling. Cold calling is a great way to test a market because you're going to get responses on day one, okay? Not day 21 when the mail's dropped and they finally pick up the phone, day one. Great way to look at an entire market and say, right, I want to do 1,000 cold calls to each market. Then let's look at responses and see which ones of those areas are performing well. And now let's double down with all the other marketing. So cold calling is a great way for that. We also have what we call speed to lead. The more conversations you can have with your prospects, the better. So when our team's doing cold calling and we can do cold calling for you guys, we can do appointment setting, we can do a warm transfer, all the calls are recorded, and we can do custom quality scripts for you as well. For me, warm transfers are awesome. Why? Because as soon as you're now on the phone with that prospect, you can start the conversation about what's next, what you're going to look at with their property, getting them to talk about their property and setting the expectation of next steps. Now they're in your ecosystem. They've spoken to you. They know who you are. The likelihood of them now ghosting you becomes less because you've had that rapport building opportunity. So for me, warm transfers are an awesome way to get them in, talk to them. You do not have to make an offer on that first call. That first call is all about trust, building, people like to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. That's the three things in marketing. If on that first phone call, you can build that familiarity, awesome. When we're doing our stuff with our cold callers, guys, you want to make sure you're working with a company where the callers are sales trained because that first impression really does count. We want to assess markets, then double down with mailers. When we're doing mailers, guys, it's not a blast out approach. Okay, that was years ago. When I first started doing vacant land like 8 or 9 years ago, you could do that. Now it's about market message match. What do I mean by that? The data needs to be for the right message, for the right market, and therefore the right mailer. So in your data, all your out-of-state, out-of-county owners, they're going to get this letter. For people that have larger properties that can be subdivided, they're going to get this letter. For everyone that inherited the property, they're going to get this letter. So really breaking your data down so that you're speaking to them in the right way that's going to increase the likelihood of them coming back to you. Always make sure, guys, if you've got a website that you just get a QR code for your website, push them there. It's about legitimizing you, making sure that they can see who you are, and therefore start that know, like, and trust factor with you as well. And track your mail. If you're not using a mailing company that tracks your mail, you do want to know when they got the mail and how much of it was delivered. By the way, your delivery rates have a direct correlation to your data. So if your delivery rates are really low, that's telling you that your data is not clean. Okay, things like national change of address verification make a big difference to that. Let's go to mistake number 4, and this is about overlooking customer experience. Now, for those that aren't familiar with the term customer experience, this is all about how we make it easy for people to do business with us. Now, let me give you an example of this. If you are someone that just likes to do SMSing, as an example, but half of your audience don't respond to an SMS because that's not how they do business, you're leaving deals on the table. So customer experience is all about omni-channel marketing and letting your customer choose how they want to do business with you. So this needs to be like an ecosystem, guys. You want to really think about your marketing from the online perspective and the offline and how that all works together. For example, if we're doing a cold call to them, can we send them a thank you email afterwards with a link to your website that they can go check you out? When you're sending someone an offer, can you also attach a QR code to your website and say, hey, if you want a counter offer, click here and go and fill in this form. So what is it that you're thinking of with your ecosystem that sets everyone up so they can choose their own adventure? Because these days, we're now dealing with everyone. 9 years ago, I would say 90% of the people I spoke to in vacant land were probably over the age of 75. But now you're speaking with people in their 20s and 30s that have inherited properties, in their 40s and 50s that maybe had property that they were planning on building on, but they're not going to do that anymore, and all the way up to that intergenerational land. So you're dealing with everything. So with your ecosystem, I want you to think about your online with your website, your socials, etc., your offline with your callers, your mailers. What are your high value trust tools that you're putting in there? So what are you offering to your audience to help them? Is it a free land valuation? Is it a consultation call? Is it an ebook? Is it an interview? Is it something promotional that you can give them that's going to increase that know, like, and trust factor, but also allow people to get to know you? People want to do business with people these days. They want to know that they can see you, hear from you, and talk to the decision maker as well. So really think about that customer experience. The last mistake, guys, ignoring data analysis. This is a really interesting one. I just want to ask all of you, and be honest here with me, guys, and put a little thumbs up or a yes in the chat box if you answer positively to this question. All of you across your KPIs about your response rates, your conversion rates, your ROAS, your cost per deal, what's your average profit per deal, are all of you across that? I haven't got any thumbs up going up, and I haven't got anything in the chat box, which tells me that probably you're not. And here's the thing, Jean just laughed. Yeah, Jean, you and I have had this conversation many a time. It's okay, guys. There's a lot of people I know that don't measure results, but I want you to start thinking about your business through the lens of KPIs. Now, I'm more than happy, and Corianne, I can send this to you afterwards. I've got a KPI sheet that's really easy for people to track those KPIs. But what I want you to start to get into the practice of, guys, is looking at your KPIs. Now, if you're in a CRM, you should be able to set up reports in your CRM. What's your response rates? How many offers have you made at offer 1, offer 2, offer 3? What's your conversion rate on those offers? The rule of 5. So if you've ever listened to Claude Diamond and his sales stuff, 5 calls a day minimum, 5 offers a day minimum, and 5 follow-ups a day minimum. Minimum. Are you reaching that goal? Looking at your lead scores, like when leads are coming through, are you scoring them based upon the probability of the prospect and the likelihood of the deal closing? Conversion rates, return on investment, cash buyer data, how are you using that? How are you researching your new areas, and how often is that happening? So really think about your KPIs and start to measure results, because those results you can reverse engineer back into your marketing. Okay, so it's really important to know that. So Corianne, just remind me after this, I'll get you over the KPI sheet, because if you don't have this in your CRM, then it's good you just have something you can look at. So there's my top 5 mistakes, guys, and some different hints and tips on what to do there. But here's what I do know. When I first started doing this business, we made every single mistake in the book because we didn't know any better. But now that we're 9 years on, we definitely know better. Time is money, and focusing on moving the needle is what matters. So I really want you to think about where your time is being spent. So with us, guys, for those that haven't done anything with us before, we've got a number of different things we can do to help you. We're about to launch Insight Finder, which will be a tool that you can actually run some analytics and look at data for your areas. On the acquisition side, we can do everything from Pipeline Builder, which is just data and direct mail strategized for you, Brand Builder, which is all your digital marketing online, and Business Builder, which is also our data, direct mail, direct dialing, cold calling, appointment setting, all of those things for you. We've also got Buyer Finder, where you can send letters out to your cash buyers and neighbors when you have a property as well, but it's all good. When you do work with us, and certainly we've got some customers on here that have worked with us, everything we do is customized for you because not everyone has the same strategy. So we want to do an exploration call, find out about your strategy, create the right campaign of the stuff that you do want to outsource, implement what I call out of those Ds, which is the design, the data, the direct dials, the digital marketing, direct mail, all of those things, whichever ones you want. We go live. We want to do the heavy lifting for you. What I want our customers to focus on is one thing: making offers. That's it. Running your comps, making offers, nurturing, following up, getting those deals under contract so that then Corianne and Robin can take your contract and sell it for you. So if you're just sitting in the middle doing that, you got us on the front end, Corianne and Robin and the team on the back end. That's going to be coming back to those three freedoms: time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. That's where you're going to start to see those wins, okay? Because time is money. All right. I'm going to go over those, guys, because that's just more about our process, which we can go over on a call, because I want to leave some time for questions as well. So I do have a lot of customers often saying to me, you know, this is great, AJ. I love what you guys do, but I think I'm just going to do this all in-house and do this all myself. Well, guys, this is what you will need. So if you're just starting out and you want to do everything yourself, there's a lot. I get it. There is a lot. Or if you're partway through and you're thinking, you know, I just want to build my team and scale it, and I'm going to hire all these people to do all these things, you're then going to end up in the situation that part of, 50% of your time is just managing people. So in our team, guys, we've got a lot of project resources, project managers, UX, UI designers, web developers, content writers, social media managers. We have partnerships with the right data and mailing and printing teams as well. We've got a whole data team dedicated to processing and pulling data and getting you over sales reports and analysis. We've got systems in place for running email automation, mail tracking, call tracking, USPS integration. All of that stuff we already have. So you don't need to go out there and spend all this time and money finding it out for yourself, which I think is great. Just a final quote, and I think this quote is kind of really good to wrap up where we are in the year, because whether you like or don't like the result of the election, I think I'm glad that it's just now over and we can go back to life as normal, because whatever that new normal looks like. Personally, I'm really happy with the outcome, because I think it's great for small business owners and entrepreneurs, because we've all been through a really tough year. And over the last couple of months, I've felt like a lot of people in real estate, not just vacant land, we kind of went into this holding pattern because people were a bit unsure about what's going on, and people weren't buying properties like they normally would because they're worried about inflation and interest rates. So, we've been through some rough times this year, guys, but here's the thing: success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And I think when we can ride these roller coasters that I was talking about, when we can learn from them and we can implement new ways of doing things, we're going to keep moving forward, which is awesome. So if you want to call with us, guys, I'm just going to put this link in the chat box. We would be more than happy to talk to anyone about their business, where they're at, their acquisition strategies, what's been working for them, all of that stuff. We can have a chat about with you one-on-one, no problems whatsoever. So I'm just going to pop this in the chat box for everyone. And let's just open it up for questions, guys, because I'm an open book. For those that know me, you can ask me anything, and I will be more than happy to give you some feedback. Questions, guys, comments, feedback.
I know brains are whirling and twirling, so I always like to pop in and give everybody a minute to think and just say thank you so much. This was so fun just to kind of see your process. And it's like drinking out of a fire hose with you every single time. It's like, oh, okay. So I know that people have questions. And I just want to say that I'm so happy in the way that we've partnered, because even in our done for you service, we're using your buyer insights. So if you utilize us, you're using her, because we're going to go through her process and we've just added it already alongside everything else we do for sales. So I'm just a fan, just fangirling. What are the questions, y'all?
So there is a lot that I went through there, guys. So maybe what we can start off with, let me ask all of you a question. What's kind of the number one thing that you guys are struggling with in acquisitions at the moment? And I'm more than happy for you to come off mute and let's just kind of brainstorm some of that together.
Yeah, AJ, thanks for the call. This is fantastic. I'm definitely
You're welcome, Jelly.
Yeah, I think for me, so I started just a couple months ago, and right now I've sent out some mail and I'm getting some leads, and I got a couple properties under contract. So thanks. Yeah. Well done. What's that?
Well done.
Oh, thanks. Well, just got to bring them home. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, primarily focused on the dispo right now. But I think, you know, I don't know if those were lucky or whatnot, but I think somewhere where I'm struggling is market selection. And
Yeah.
you know, I think those are my two main.
What? Yeah, absolutely, Charlie. And a lot of people I know, Charlie, go into what I call the rabbit hole. You know, they get paralysis analysis because they want to make sure their market's perfect. Here's what I will say to you. Markets are never perfect and they always perform different at different times. So you've got to think about things like seasonality. You know, people that are doing more northern states, they'll tend to market to those states in winter and get them under contract and sell them in the summer and spring. So different markets will react differently. That also means that people in the southern part of the country, right? We've got states that do deals all the time. If you look at Florida, there's always deals to be done. But some counties in Florida, you can market to a county and get 30 leads and 5 properties under contract. It's like, yeah, this is great. And then you go back into that market in 6 months' time and get 0. So it's really interesting when it comes to market selection, which is why we're also doing the cold calling, right? Because if you've chosen a few markets but you're a little bit unsure, cold calling is a very cost-effective way to test those markets. Then once you get leads back in, you can look at those leads and run your numbers and go, all right, I tested these 5 counties. I got leads for all of them, but these 3 in particular, I can see that there's awesome deals in here. Here's some areas I want to go deeper into. Out of the other 2 counties, we got leads, but yeah, I don't love what I'm seeing. And every time I go to do research, it's really difficult. So I'm going to let those 2 counties go. I'm going to focus on these 3. Now let's send out direct mail. Now let's double down. So using things like the cold calling to test is a great way to just shore up your assumptions. And it's nowhere near as expensive as what you think, Charlie.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. Believe it or not, you know, after watching so many YouTube videos and all these podcasts and stuff like all of us, you're actually the first person that I've heard that says, like, you know, test out a market by cold calling it first. So I don't know if I'm just listening to the wrong things here, but no, I love that.
Yeah. And I think as well, like some of our cold calling packages, you know, we're going to do like say 4,000 pieces of data a month for like just over $2,000. That's all your data, all your cold calling, all the recordings, everything done for you, all your DNC checks, it's all done. That for me is a really low price point. If you've got 4 counties and you want to do 1,000 each, really low price point to just test, see what you get back. Great way to kind of shore up your assumptions, right? Because there's only so much research that you can do online and with AI to look into the market, to, you know, run your assumptions, do all that stuff. You're never going to know until you start having conversations with people.
For sure. Yep. Couldn't agree more. Also, just one quick question. As far as marketing goes too, and you know, coming up here for the holidays, going from Thanksgiving all the way to, you know, New Year's, for someone who is just getting going, what's your recommendation as far as like how much outreach to do during that? Window?
You know what's really interesting? There's 2 trains of thought here. There's a lot of people that go, oh, it's the holidays, I don't want to bother anyone. But what do families do on holidays? They get together, right? Especially around Thanksgiving. So I actually, most years, we really lean into that. We do what I would call more of a festive mailer. So if you're doing direct mail, right between now and Thanksgiving, if you're going to send out any more mail, I would actually put it as a Thanksgiving letter and say, hey, Thanksgiving's coming up. If you're getting together with your family, maybe have a conversation about your property and decide what you guys want to do with it, because now might be the time to get rid of it. I can give you a cash offer before the end of 2024. You can get some money to put towards some goals that you guys might have for 2025. So let's chat. Same with Christmas, right? If you're getting together for Christmas or Hanukkah or anything like that, you know, now might be a great time, especially if it's an inherited property or it's something that's just been sitting for many, many generations. Now's a great time to think about that. Also, it's like if you're going after older property owners that you can see that the land's intergenerational, they've owned it for more than, say, 40 years, I would segment that down to a mailer that says, hey, you've been sitting on this property a while and maybe you're thinking that you might pass it down to your family. But let me tell you, a lot of family members don't want it because now they're going to have to do a probate and now you're asking them to pay taxes on something that they might not actually want. Maybe they might want the cash instead. So when you get together with your family, have a chat, get me on the phone if you want. You know, I'll be happy to talk you guys through some options. Get them thinking.
Awesome. Yeah. I love that. Awesome. Thanks a ton, AJ.
Good question, Charlie. Anyone else got any questions or thoughts that they want to bring forward? Anyone got any other challenges that you're experiencing at the moment when it comes to acquisition? So what are some of the things you've noticed over the last few months, guys? Jean, Anthony? Yep.
Detail for me what data enrichment is, or what you mean by that, because like I'm like,
yep,
wave the magic wand for better data. Like, what does that really truly mean?
Data enrichment, 100%. So the first thing with data enriching is, and a lot of people are doing this anyway, checking for probability of road access. Now, here's my thing on road access, guys. Don't over scrub. A lot of people want the perfect list that everything's got road access. It's like, I can tell you right now, guys, some of our customers have done amazing deals that they wouldn't have had in their data if they had over scrubbed. And that deal on the actual title, there was a right of way or an easement on the title, but if you looked at it on a map, you would have said no. So don't kind of try and over scrub stuff when it comes to data, but enrich it enough so that you know that the probability of road access is there, which is what we look at. Second thing is running it through a national change of address verification to make sure that if USPS has got any address changes or any redirections, that's reflected in your data. Because let me tell you right now, the county won't have it reflected. So you've got to make sure that those are all done. Skip tracing is another form of enriching, you know, getting that information so that in your CRM, you've already got their number in there. So let's say they call you back, you can recognize who it is. So all those little things about how you treat the data and what you're doing to get that data as robust as possible, it all makes a difference.
More difficult than waving a magic wand, but finally detailed so that I can actually take those as action steps. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other challenges, guys, that people have got?
That must mean you guys have at least 5 contracts on your desk this week. If not, then there has to be some ACK questions out there. We have the queen here. Use her very smart brain.
Nope. Any other challenges that people are experiencing then at the moment? So, and again, guys, this needs to be a safe space for you to talk about like what's going on. So what are some of the things you've noticed over recent months with acquisitions? And let me help you through that. Anthony, you're on here twice, my friend. I can see you. See, he's on his phone and there's also a computer.
Yeah.
Looks like he's trying to unmute.
He's on his way.
Yeah, for some reason I have no volume on my computer to talk with. I can hear you real well on talking feedback. So I muted my computer and signed in this way so you can see me.
Excellent. Any questions from you, Anthony, on acquisition?
I do pretty well talking to people. My biggest problem is in some areas getting good comps and then areas to market too. I've been using several systems that, you know, different design. One is I do a lot of chat GDP asking for the numbers on counties nationwide. What's the fastest growing? What's the most populated? And then I try to pick one in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So basically I've been listening, but so basically you're kind of like a service that would kind of like Lead Mining Pros to a degree, or
more than that. So Lead Mining Pros just do SMS and cold calling. We're doing everything from your data, your digital marketing, cold calling, appointment setting, warm transfers, websites, direct mail. We do it all. And what I want to do is strategize on that with our customers, because, you know, often if you think of it like a funnel, we want to make sure we're doing the cheapest marketing first, so the cold calling first. For those that don't pick up the phone in the markets that we've identified that are good, they get direct mail. Sending everyone to your website, making sure that ecosystem, when I spoke about customer experience, that ecosystem is working for you. One thing we also do differently to Lead Mining, guys, is we're compliant with our data. So, and no disrespect to them, but we are very big on putting your do not call and litigator list scrubs through, because people do get in trouble. So we have the ability to do that. We're not all cold companies do. It's actually called a SAN number, an SAN, or the N is the number actually. It's an SAN, which gives the cold call company the right to actually put it through that check. Not everyone has that.
Okay, and if you obviously have a lot of states you're working in now. Do you have any kind of recommendation service where you can say these are the areas that have performed well in the past, or do you just let us find our own from the beginning?
Yeah, I want our customers to find your own, and here's why. When you have a vested interest in choosing your market, it forces you to do the research and get to know what's going on in that area, okay? Once we pull the data, though, if we pull the data and we say, Anthony, we pulled the data for this county and we can already tell you that the data's, it's old, the county hasn't released it for more than 6 months. We know that they're going to release it soon, so let's push that one to the bottom of the list until we get the updated data. Or we can see that there's a lot of mistakes in their data, because trust me when I say this, guys, every county is different in how they upkeep the data, right? Some of them are really lazy.
And you said a good point. You're saying you have the capacity to tell me right up front that if I pull a list, because I pull a list from multiple services, I'm still part of the Jack Bosch group. I pull my data from them. I pull it from counties, and I've noticed counties from one county to the other. You might have some that look fairly current, but the addresses are just they're 2 years old, year old, and the person's moved 3 times since then, and they're hard to find.
All those little things, Anthony, make a huge difference. So that's why we offer the full done for you data service, because we're doing all those checks for you, so you don't have to. Yeah.
So you're actually doing the verification of the data too in the front end to make sure it's valid.
We're pulling it, we're verifying it, we're checking it back to the county, we're doing a currency check on the data, we're running the national change of address verification. So we've got ability to put the data into USPS and get that back. So all of those things we're doing. And that does make a big difference.
Well, it does, yeah. You can tell it may be 50 letters back today, or maybe 250 letters, or 1,000 letters back. You never know.
And it even makes a difference to the skip tracing, right? So if we're going to skip trace a list and we've got old addresses in there, then the number of good numbers that we get back becomes lower. So everything has a flow-on effect from data, which is why we start with strategy and data.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you do your research on ChatGPT and come to us with your wish list and your buy box, we'll literally take it from there. Pull the data, do all those processes, get it skip trace, start the cold calling or appointment setting. By the way, guys, if any of you are doing larger deals, like starting to get into subdivides and larger deals, appointment setting is working really, really well. What do I mean by that? So our calling team, they're actually going to say, Corianne, love that you've got a property that meets our criteria. Charlie really wants to get on a call with you and take you through if your property is eligible for a subdivision. So I'm going to book you in for a 15-minute consult so that they've got dedicated time. And if you need to bring a family member on, or you need someone else on that call with you, et cetera, we're going to book you in. It's at this time. It's at this time. Now they feel pretty special. So they've got dedicated time with someone to talk about their property. And we're making them feel pretty special by locking that in. So appointment setting's working really well, guys, especially for those larger deals that people know what they're sitting on.
Okay.
Everett from Facebook is asking, does anybody text anymore? Is that even okay with all the new laws? So he might have missed it earlier when you said that you don't text, but can you kind of expand on those new laws in case somebody's missed the train?
So the basis of it is, guys, and it's a real gray area. So let me just start off by saying that what I'm about to say is not legal advice, because everyone's got their interpretation of this, right? But when you read the TCPA and the FTC regulations around this, particularly for the TCPA, in order to be texted to, you must opt in, regardless if that's you're buying or selling something, you must opt in to be texted to. Cold calling, you don't need to opt in. So what you do need to do is make sure your do not call and litigators list is all done. But texting is still very much, you need to opt in order to do it. So when we're building out websites for customers, anytime someone puts a number in, we've got a tick box that says that I allow you to converse with me back and forth on SMS. Once they tick that, or once you've had a conversation with them via SMS, you're cool. If they've responded back and you're good, now you're in a conversation. You no longer, it's like called implied permission, right? But the way the platforms are getting around it, look, it's gray, but you would have heard of people that have had their numbers shut down, launch control stopped. you know, the guys that are running launch control, they do know what they're doing, but we've just chosen to stay away from it purely because the regulation says what it says, right? It's still a gray area. That's why we're doing more of the cold calling appointment setting, because it's just having more conversations with people. And a lot of people that do SMSing, they are not putting their company name. They're kind of, you know, using different ways to get around the conversation. It's also, it needs to be, if you are going to SMS someone, you must, with the regulations, you must have an opt-out on your SMSs. If you don't, they can report you, your number will get shut down straight away. So all it takes now with the FTC regulations or TCPA, all it takes is one person to report your number as spam and your platform can go clunk really quickly. So with cold calling, you don't have that risk, which is why we do that.
So really, it sounds like almost SEO has become the gateway to text. Like if you've got good SEO and good ads and you can get people to click, that's when you can start to actually text them and engage that way.
Good SEO, directing people to your website. So even after our cold calls, we'll actually try and get an email from them and send them a thank you. So our cold calling team will send you a thank you. Corianne, thank you so much for your time on our call right now. Hey, here's our website. Go to our website and check us out. And from there, it starts that auto nurture, right? That whole customer experience starts to really come to mind.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time today. You really are the yin to our yang in terms of if somebody just wants to sit in like the king seat and have somebody do their acquisitions and somebody do their dispositions. We're so glad you exist. So glad you bring us supercharged offers. Is there any parting words you want to say before I give everybody a peace out and see you next week?
No, I'd just say for those that we haven't had a chance to speak to, guys, there's absolutely no harm in jumping on the phone with myself or my team member, Kai. We're more than happy to just talk you through like your own strategy, what you're doing, your KPIs, your results, what you want to see change. You know, no obligation to have a call with us and just to see a little bit more. And, you know, for those that have worked with, so Robin, Jean, Roman, who was on here, he's just dropped off. You know, these are people that have worked with us for a while. They know what we do and certainly the value that we can bring. So we'd welcome a phone call with any of you.
Thank you so much. Do you have your Facebook group, by the way? Can you drop that in the link? And I just want to make sure that we're kind of cross collaborating there and everybody's following you with all the goodies that you drop. Guys, just a reminder, even if you're catching us on Facebook, we have brought you something new. We have our comps calls now daily, Monday through Friday. If you are a subscriber with the Land Pilot, you automatically get access to that in your portal. If you're not, we've made it so much cheaper to give you, we want to take away the barrier to entry. The first thing you got to know is, are your numbers correct to know whether it's going to sell on the other side? And Robin is doing that comping live. So I would love to see you guys there. You can also enter in that property through the portal. Makes it super simple. But if you've got any questions, you know you can find me on the Facebook group. Also, I will be making sure that all of AJ's awesome little goodies that she's mentioned here are in the Facebook group. So keep your eyes peeled there, engage there.
I'll get those over to you now.
Thank you. We're so grateful for our land fam. We will see you tomorrow morning on the daily comps call, or we'll see you next Thursday here, 6 p.m. EST.
Thanks,
bye, everybody.
Appreciate it.